Zack Snyder has confirmed that he will continue to work on his long-rumored Star Wars picture, but it will no longer be associated with the sci-fi series. When Snyder was preparing to release Man of Steel in 2013, word got out that he was working on a Star Wars film based on Akira Kurosawa. Snyder's film, according to Vulture, would be different from the new Star Wars trilogy, Episodes 7, 8, and 9, but situated in the Star Wars universe. In today's video, we're going to discuss everything we currently know about Zack Snyder's new Star Wars movie and the updates that have recently been released. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. Star Wars updates. Zack Snyder was, believe it or not, working on a Star Wars film at one point. While the Justice League director had previously stated his admiration for the franchise, he has now acknowledged that he at least considered making a sequel. Furthermore, it would have been an altogether distinct concept at a unique moment following George Lucas's prequel trilogy. During a recent interview, Zack Snyder revealed the news while promoting his latest film, Army of the Dead, which is presently available on Netflix. When asked about rumors about a Star Wars film influenced by Akira Kurosawa from back in the day, Snyder acknowledged that he was working on one. Here's what he had to say. "Yeah, we talked about it, but I've been working on it, just away from the Star Wars universe, just on my own, just as a sci-fi thing. It's still a sci-fi thing. It's the same story, just now I'm letting Star Wars be Star Wars. The 11-year-old me still wants to make that. Now I just know how to, so maybe we'll see that someday." Further, Zack Snyder said that his film will not feature any well-known characters. It would have been a completely unique concept. All you have to do is hand over the keys and I'll take her for a drive, he explained. Snyder also mentioned that this was during a period when no Star Wars films were being produced. It was after the prequels were wound up in 2005 with Revenge of the Sith and before Disney purchased Lucasfilm in 2012. He continued, "At that time, there was no Star Wars. Star Wars wasn't really, it was the middle time. It was right after they had done the prequels and before the sale to Disney. I was just like, you know what? I could fix that. I could do something." Snyder refuted the allegations. While he is super flattered because he is a tremendous fan, Zack is not connected in any way with the new Star Wars. A spokeswoman for the director told The Hollywood Reporter, his two films, Man of Steel and 300 Battle of Artemisia, are currently in post-production. In the 8 years afterwards, little has been spoken about the rumored project, but Snyder has now confirmed that a meeting with Lucasfilm about the film occurred and that George Lucas even offered Toshiro Mifune the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Snyder also hinted that the project isn't entirely dormant. Now this opens a whole lot of questions that we need the answers to. In Zack Snyder's Star Wars film, what was the main plot? Who was he discussing this with exactly? Did Snyder make a pitch to George Lucas and the Lucasfilm board of directors? How far has he gotten with this? For the time being, we have a lot more questions than answers. However, if Snyder decides to make it as an original idea, we may learn a lot more. Disney finally paid more than $4 billion for Lucasfilm. With 2015 Star Wars: The Force Awakens, they enlisted J.J. Abrams to reintroduce the series to a wider audience. It was the start of a new trilogy, as well as paving the door for independent adventures like Rogue One and Solo. Now, thanks to the success of The Mandalorian, we have even more to look forward to as Disney Plus is developing a slew of new shows. What are the chances? Perhaps Snyder will be able to make his mark on the franchise in a different way in the future. So who is Zack Snyder? Zachary Edward Snyder is an American film director, producer, and screenwriter who was born on March 1st, 1966. Dawn of the Dead, a remake of the 1978 horror film of the same name, marked his feature film debut in 2004. Since then, he's directed or produced a number of comic book and superhero movies, including 300 in 2006 and Watchmen in 2009, as well as Man of Steel in 2013, the Superman picture that launched the DC Extended Universe, and its sequels, Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice in 2016 and Justice League in 2017. In 2021, a director's cut of Justice League was released. In addition, he directed the computer animated picture Legend of the Guardians: The Return of the Guardians. With his wife, Deborah Snyder, and producing partner Wesley Collar, he created the production business The Stone Quarry, previously known as Cruel and Unusual Films, in 2004. In contrast to other directors who create several cuts and close-ups during a fight, Snyder frequently uses slow motion, particularly the technique of speed ramping, in and out of combat scenes in his films. King Leonidas slaughters his opponents in a minute-long clip from 300 with the camera zooming in and out to emphasize each death and move Leonidas makes. He avoids the need for frequent cutaways and keeps the audience oriented throughout the combat scenes by combining these two tactics. Snyder has been dubbed one of the most contentious directors of our time. According to IndieWire's David Ehrlich, Snyder's the mere mention of his name is enough enough to elicit 1,000 angry tweets, and the most ardent writing on his work can be found primarily in the comments section of websites such as this one. Snyder's detractors appear to despise him, and Snyder's followers appear to despise his critics. Is Snyder a genius or a thug? Is he a misunderstood myth maker or a jerk with a camera? With all of his experience and extremely impressive work, we have no doubt it would have been a great Star Wars adaptation, and we hope one day he will get to watch this 8-year movie in the making. The original Star Wars trilogy. The Star Wars trilogy, also known as the original trilogy or the classic trilogy, is the first of 3 films in George Lucas's Star Wars franchise, an American space opera. The original Star Wars film, 1977, The Empire Strikes Back, 1980, and Return of the Jedi, 1983, were all produced by Lucasfilm and distributed by 20th Century Fox. The original trilogy, which begins in the middle of the 9-episode Skywalker saga, is the second act. Between 1999 and 2005, a prequel trilogy was released, and between 2015 and 2019, a sequel trilogy was released. To distinguish them from spin-off films, they have been collectively dubbed the Skywalker Saga. The films follow Luke Skywalker on his quest to become a Jedi under the instruction of exiled Jedi Masters Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, as well as the galactic civil war between the Rebel Alliance and the despotic Galactic Empire. In order to defeat the Empire and the wicked Sith Lord Darth Vader, Luke joins forces with Princess Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2, and the Rebel Alliance. Critics praised the original Star Wars for its storytelling, characters, John Williams' music, and breakthrough visual and sound effects, and it eclipsed Jaws as the highest-grossing film of all time, transforming science fiction films into a blockbuster genre. The 3 films have been recognized as some of the best ever made. Star Wars became a pop cultural phenomenon after the trilogy's success, producing a multi-billion-dollar merchandising empire. Background of George Lucas and the creation of Star Wars. Lucas planned to make a film adaptation of the Flash Gordon serial in 1971, but he couldn't get the rights. He began writing his own story, influenced by Edgar Rice Burroughs' writing. Lucas prepared a 2-page summary for a space opera, Journal of the Wheels, shortly after directing American Graffiti in 1973. After the film was rejected by United Artists, Universal Studios, and Disney, 20th Century Fox opted to invest in it. Lucas felt his initial story was too difficult to grasp, so on April 17, 1973, he began scripting The Star Wars, a 13-page script that bears strong resemblance to Akira Kurosawa's The Hidden Fortress of 1958. By May 1974, he had turned the material into a first draught of a screenplay, but realized it was too long for a single picture. Following drafts culminated in the original film script. Lucas was able to keep the sequel rights after a lengthy negotiation. We came to an understanding that George would keep the sequel rights, recalls Tom Pollock, Lucas's lawyer at the time. Not all the merchandising rights were added subsequently, only the sequel rights, and Fox would have first refusal and first opportunity to make the film. Lucas was paid $50,000 to write the screenplay, $50,000 to produce the picture, and $50,000 to direct it. His directing pay was eventually up to $100,000. He also negotiated sequel rights and 40% ownership of merchandising income. Harrison Ford, who played in American Graffiti, had given up acting to pursue a career as a carpenter until Lucas hired him to play Han Solo. And there you have it, Zack Snyder and the Star Wars movie updates that have recently been released. It doesn't look like we will see his take on the movie anytime soon, but it still could be in the works in the future. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss any of our new and upcoming content. Thanks for watching.